Well, first of all, I need to explain something. I'm not drunk. Hey guys, today is the day. Today's the day we're gonna put some Bondo on this car. And I know y'all are just so excited to see Bondo on this car, because what car enthusiast doesn't love to see Bondo? I'm joking, of course, but it needs to be done. And yes, there are many other ways to do this, but really I'm trying to create the equivalent of the Mystery Machine for Scooby-Doo. Yeah, you know, have no idea what's powering it, how it's even running. Well, in this case, we have no idea how much Bondo's on it. I'm just playing. The reason why we're gonna do this and film this is because I wanna be able to show someone, whoever wants to buy the car, what's underneath the paint. What's it look like? What's really going on with the car? I'm a guy who, when I sell something, I tell them everything I know about it. And well, that's just what I wanna do in this case too. So I thought, well, what better way to do that than just show everyone? So here we go, I guess you could say, if you're watching this. We're gonna go put some Bondo on this thing and learn ourselves how to do it well. So come along for the ride and let's go have some fun. So I'm sure there's been some questions. What on earth is this carbon choke cleaner doing on the hood of the car? And why was I using it last time? Well, I might have been using my car for like a workbench for a little while and rebuilt the carburetor and got some gunk all over it and I wanted to, well, just clean it off. That's the reason. Okay, so step one, let's go ahead and open up this Bondo and get going to throw some Bondo down and have some fun. So, should you be wearing a mask when applying Bondo? Maybe. Who's that? Who this? Note to self, when leaning on an object, make sure you do not press the panic button to your car. That's really embarrassing. Okay, and it's really hot in here. So if I'm a little off, that's the reason. I may have left the heater to this beautiful garage on for like an hour and I got it up to like 90 degrees. It's cooling down, I think it's like 88 right now, but it's flipping cold outside and really hot in here. We'll find a happy medium at some point, I'm sure. But for right now, the question I asked was, should you wear a respirator while applying Bondo? And if kids are watching, I'd say yes. Otherwise, I'm gonna say no. It smells so good. I love the smell of Bondo in the morning. All right, so I'm sure everybody knows how to do this, but you got a stick and some cardboard, and there's a lot of people who say, don't use cardboard because it's gonna absorb all of the hardener. Well, look, does it absorb some hardener? Maybe. But then you just add some more. Like, stop being weird about it. Okay, so this is all like gooey and ewy. You do want to mix it up a lot. Oh gosh. And it toots a lot. Like, there's a lot of tooting going on. And if it's been a while since you've used it, I'd recommend laying something down here and letting it drain out, because it's going to be pretty liquidy at first. There we go. Actually, that wasn't that bad. Alright, so now we're going to add our hardener. Now generally what I like to do is just kind of run a line or two across it. Is there a hard and fast rule? Hard and fast rule as far as how much to put on? No, there's not. I usually make it a little hotter than necessary, and that just means that there's too much hardener. And I'm sure there's somebody who's going to say, well, you have to have the ratio between 1.2573 pascals to... I'm sure there is, but honestly, I don't care. I've been doing this for years, and I've never had Bondo fail. Well, that's not entirely true. When I was younger, I was not the best guy, and I may have fixed up an old bus that had a huge dent in the middle of it, and put like 1.5 gallons of Bondo on it, which I can't believe I just said that to the public, but I did. I'm ashamed of it. That's not what I should have done, but I saw it for sale a couple years later. Like, the whole front end of the bus had just fallen off the color that it used to be that I painted it. It was no more. Okay, so now that it's mixed, it's a nice, beautiful color. You take your paddle and you just kind of wipe it over. Now, I'll tell you some tricks here in a second once I get it on here. I'm gonna try to go both areas. I think I made enough. It's not bad to mix it well enough. It's not bad to have too much Bondo. You can't really have too much filler. you can have not enough, and then you just have to make another batch. But you do kind of want to angle the pad in such a way to match the curvature of the car, if you can. And the bad thing about having too much, which I probably do, is that you'll yell at yourself later because you have to sand it all off. And that is kind of a pain. Let's try to get this cleaned up a little bit more. And so once it starts hardening, like it is now, we'll try to smooth out all the rough spots. Oh, this is terrible. I shouldn't be filming this because I haven't done Bondo in a long time. And well, kind of tell. All right, now I'm gonna try to get all the Bondo off the areas where I know there isn't a dent. Okay, so that looks actually pretty bad, but it looks better now than if I were to keep going. So what happens? I'm showing you what not to do. So yeah, learn the lessons from me. This is terrible. All right, so I'm trying to get the paddle clean. It's kind of a hurried thing. Like I put a little bit too much hardener on there, so it hardened really fast. The more hardener you put, the faster it dries, which is nice because you can work with it faster. But the negative side effect is it turns to this kind of stuff pretty quickly. So set this down. I'm gonna clean this off before it gets too nasty. And you can see another reason why I have my carbon choke cleaner out. Let's get that red goopy flipped around here. Oh, there goes the red goopy on the windshield. Ah, perfect. It's always when you're filming where things just go awry. Okay, so a little bit of carb cleaner on your paddle. That'll help take the Bondo right off, usually. I waited a little while. But you can usually clean these things up with the carb cleaner, and then you can use it for next time. A lot of guys will say, well, just wait for it to harden, bend the paddle, and the Bondo will come right off of it. And although that is kind of true, you end up having some hardened Bondo on the paddle. Then when you go to try to get it off, usually you use like a spatula or spade or even your fingernail, and then that scratches the edge of the paddle, the edge of the paddle, and makes it, well, scratched. If you have a scratched paddle, it'll put lines in the Bondo. So this is what we have for now. I gotta wait for this to harden and then sand it down and then probably apply a couple more coats just to make it round. But this is step one, so can't wait to see you come along for the next step. But for right now, I am high as a kite. I'm joking, kind of. It is really, really smelly in here. So I'm gonna air it out. And should you wear a respirator when doing this? Probably, but I don't like it. All right, now that we've got that applied, well, first of all, I need to explain something. I'm not drunk. Perfectly sober. I had a bunch of teeth work done, and like, my mouth is just numb. I sound like I'm drunk, but I'm not. I'm perfectly just fine. Anyway, so we put down the Bondo here. Now we need to sand it. Once we sand it, then we can kind of see where we're at. We might need to add more Bondo, or it might actually be done. I have the feeling we're gonna need a little bit, and let me show you why. If we look here, you can see there is a little dip there, and see all those little lines? Those lines, most of those should go away once we sand it, but it might actually go a little bit too deep. So we might need to add a little bit more in those two little areas. But the first step is just to sand it down. So let's get to sanding it down, and then we'll see where we're at. Well, that was just about perfect, wasn't it? So, well, I guess you probably don't know that yet. So let me explain why that's perfect. Because I really want to show you, not just what I'm doing, but if you don't know how to do these things, I just give you kind of some general tips. So this is what I was hoping, my mouth is still sore, sorry.
I was hoping to find a solution to show you something cool. Okay.
So what we got here is a great opportunity. This is exactly what I was hoping for. So when you're filling something like this, you want to get all the filler off that you don't need. Now, the reason why these lines are here is because this isn't going to the same curvature of the car. When you run the sander over, you don't want to run it over like this or like this. You want to run it over flat. In this case, there are other reasons to not do that, but for this case, you want to run it flat. So when that happens, this will end up displaying as flat. So that's why all these grooves are here. It's because the sander wasn't touching it, right? So it should be smooth. If it was rounded, it would be smooth. So all we need to do is add a little more filler here. And this also pointed out, there's a little dent here as well. See how that the sander didn't get that area? That's because that's a little dent as well. So we'll put a little bit of filler here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then we'll probably be good to go. Oftentimes when you are sanding a car and using filler, you might have to have 2, 3, sometimes even 4 applications of the filler to get it just right. So I'm hoping we could do it with just one, but if we need to have another, a third application, then we will have to do that. But for now, let's get that other application put on there and see what it looks like. Okay, now that we have the Bondo applied and sanded, we're gonna check our work. I know it's not perfect because I can feel it, but it might be good enough. So I'm just gonna rattle can a little bit of paint on there, and then we're gonna see how good of a job we did. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. I need my mask though, my respirator. I don't wanna kill more brain cells with paint. All right, so that's gonna need a couple more coats, but at first glance, it actually looks pretty good. So that's basically the ins and outs of Bondo. There's a lot more, but just for the basics, that's how I work with Bondo, and that's how I'm going to work with Bondo for the rest of this car. So the next video you see, I should have the top of this already painted, well, at least primered. There might be a little bit more filler I need to do on that other section in the back. I did paint that to see what it looks like, but there's still some scratches and I can't quite tell if I'm gonna need to add a little more filler or not. But other than that, by the time you see it in the next video, this should be primered anyway. And then stage 1's complete. So excited to move on to stage 2. And I hope you join me because this is kind of fun, right? Anyway, have a good day, guys. Thanks for watching, and yeah, I would say tune in next time, but that just sounds so weird. Doesn't that sound weird? Tune in next time. What are we, Warner Brothers? Nah, just a dude with a camera and a little more time on my hands than I ought to.